Elvis, the movie, so much, and we got to see a lot of the struggles he had behind the scenes, right, with his drug addictions, with the passing of his mom. You could tell in the movie and in real life that had a significant influence and impact on him. And then obviously his father, who was sort of estranged, and he came in and out of the picture, but his hands were tied by his manager. That pretty much was his downfall, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then obviously Bohemian Rhapsody. What did you think about that one?
It was a really good movie, and I believe, like, the movie was, oh my god, it was so well made, and they didn't, like, to be honest, you know how Freddie Mercury's homosexual, right? They didn't hide that,
Right.
Yeah, like, I thought they would hide that, but no, they went all out on the movie, right? And they bought, stuff from the past, from their history, It was a really good movie, like, to watch. It was so enjoyable, like, I was engaged, like, throughout the whole film. And, it is interesting to learn about these people, right? And learn about their history, their struggles, their success, their, rags to riches, right? There's
Yeah. And it's what I loved about that movie too is, like you said, they didn't shy away from his homosexuality, right?
Yeah.
But even then, he was still in that relationship with his, I think it was ex-wife or ex-girlfriend throughout the entire time. But she understood that, though. She understood Freddie. She understood him and what he meant to, like, the music industry. I love that they didn't shy away from any of that.
Yeah.
Because especially nowadays with, like, cancel culture and political correctness, right? It's not easy to be able to portray that side of, like, people or their way of life, especially on the big screen, right? Because now with movies and TV and film, like, you have such a large platform, and I know for some people it could be seen as a risk to do, but I am glad that they showed everything, the behind the scenes of what he was struggling with, and then to the musical performances, especially the Live Aid concert at the end. I think that was a great way to have it just end, because, and another thing that Hollywood tends to do, and I don't quite agree with it, is they take these big musicians or these artists, they maybe tell the story, but it ends with, tragically, this person dying, right? And I feel like that does an injustice to the influence and the impact that they've had on the industry and their music. So I'm glad with this one in particular, with Bohemian Rhapsody, they didn't do that, because I wanted them to sort of highlight more of his influence, his music, his sound, his voice, and not end it with, oh, well, he's tragically passed away, and then the last 2 hours didn't even mean anything, right? So I'm glad they didn't take that approach that Hollywood loves to do when they make these, like, biographical, like, films about people.
Yeah.
So that was very moving. And then obviously the Rocket Man one, Elton John. Very similar. Obviously Elton John is still alive, but they didn't shy away also from his sexuality too, which I really did like. And the film itself was very, like, colorful and like flamboyant, and that's pretty much matching what Elton John was. So sort of as his rock star. So just within the past few years, we're seeing a lot of these films, and I think they're going to probably be more in the works about different artists. But it's definitely, it's been a rocky romance, but it's definitely made a huge impact on us for sure.
And there was also this movie on Netflix which was about Motley Crue. It was called The Dirt, I believe. It wasn't, like, I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't that good.
Right.
But it still demonstrated the struggles that Motley Crue had to deal with in regards to, drug addiction and parental issues, right?
Yeah.
And, it followed kind of a similar format to the movies that we talked about before.
Yeah.
But they did it, like, worse, in my opinion.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's very difficult to do, and like you said, there's such a... Hollywood tends to take that approach of, like, oh, let's build the character, let's build the hero, and then just kill him off at the end, right?
Yeah.
But they don't tend to end on, like, triumphant, like a high, like, oh, they overcame obstacles, they overcame adversity, and here they are still influencing us today. So, I think rock and roll, especially throughout the decades, have had a great impact on us. And then now with social media and these different platforms, I feel like it's even exploding even more.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, especially the Gen Z generation,
Uh-huh.
who may not have known of a lot of these people, are now like, oh, I know that person. Oh, I know Rolling Stones. I know this. I know that. So it's good in that way, and I like that it's having that positive impact on media and pop culture today.
Yeah. To add on to that, you know, there's been these trends on TikTok where, like, as you said before, you know, they had the rock music in the background. Like, I remember this one which was Kratos, video game character. He's jumping on top of a cliff in, like, a video game.
Yeah.
And, like, in the background, the music is Dream On by Aerosmith, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know? And there was also this Freebird, you know, the song by Leonard Skinner, where, like, the guitar solo for it has also been, like, a trend for a while. And, you know, it's really refreshing in a sort of sense, you know, to see all these rock music, you know, come back to, you know, to view, right? Because they've been hidden for so long, and, like, TikTok is bringing these back.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's really cool to see them coming back, you know, and people are appreciating, like, how good this music is, right?
Well, out of curiosity, you know, because of you're of this generation, do you think if it weren't for these trends, like, or these remixes, or like these challenges, would the music still be, you know, as prevalent today? Do you think?
I don't think so. Like, I grew up on rock music. I borrowed my dad's music taste. You know, he used to play that music on car rides and on long trips.
Yeah.
Many of my friends, like, I remember all of my friends, they didn't listen to rock music. They weren't interested in rock music, right?
Yeah.
And then, but now you listen to them on, you know, in social media, right? We're all on social media today, and you listen to these music, and you're like, wow, this is really interesting. I'm liking this. What is this? You know, and then you dive in and you explore the genre, right? And that's what social media has done for rock and roll. It spread it, like you know, people spread this genre through social media, and people started to explore it, right? They were like, oh my god, this is something new, I like this.
And if you think about platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, right, they have their own genre of rock and roll. So if you hear something either on TikTok or Instagram, or let's say even Snapchat, which is still a thing nowadays, you know, even these media platforms themselves for music have their own genre of rock and roll, so that a lot of people, you know, the generation now can click on that, and they can just listen to hours and hours and hours of this playlist, and get all that music, all that culture, everything, you know, from the last 60 years or so that's been happening with especially rock and roll music, which is great. You know, I think that's definitely been a good source or outlet for these, you know, these different types of music, the hard and soft rock, and all that, to still be, you know, relevant today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And and that's pretty much, you know, rock music's influence today, right?
Yeah. And you know what's so good about rock music, you know, is that it doesn't die. You know, many people came up, like, in the past few years, saying rock and roll is dead, and, you know, the genre is, like, dead. No one's listening to it anymore. But, you know, it manages to, you know, revive itself.
Yeah, I don't know of any bands currently that I could say are, like, rock and roll bands in the sense of, like, its classical, like, definition of it. Maybe renditions of it, but I think you still see it even with some, like, these new and up and coming artists. Maybe there's influences of rock, but I can't, like, pinpoint someone nowadays that's, like, the equivalent of, you know, Def Leppard, or, you know, and those types of groups. I can't pinpoint it, but I know I hear on the radio, like, it's still there. Just even in R&B too, you can still get elements of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, my favorite rock bands. Oh my gosh, I think top three would probably have to be. I love Kiss for sure. Guns N' Roses is always a favorite of mine. And yeah, maybe I would say the Beatles or like Led Zeppelin probably
Sure.
up there on the list. What would be your top three?
Pink Floyd. I love Pink Floyd. You know, the way they influence the music with their psychedelic music. Like,
Yeah.
I listen to a Pink Floyd track. It's like 25 minutes, and I
yeah, exactly.
I enjoy every second of it. Right. So Pink Floyd is definitely up there. I love Led Zeppelin as well. Led Zeppelin, like, they have some beautiful music. And well, let's see who. This is hard. I think I'm gonna have to go with Queen.
Queen.
Yeah.
Oh, good choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah.
It was a great talk. I'm glad we got to dive into, how rock music influenced today's media and pop culture, and just to put a plug in there, my newest book, poetry book, Blunder Down Under, is now available. If anyone is interested, if you would like a copy of it, just let me know and I'll send you the link. just gotta put all my stuff in there. Use this platform, right? That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Use the platform
Yeah.
and help spread that. And any last thoughts, Anthony?
Well, no. For those about to rock, we salute you.
Yeah. Salute to rock and roll. I appreciate it. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you and take care.
You too.
So then click that.
Yeah.
That's green. And then let's click. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So if I click this again.